Thank you, Brian. It's nice to be here.
That probably brings back a lot of memories for you. Your second #1 record with the Four Seasons.
I don't think that I was really feeling the effects of the success at the time. I mean, it all came as such a big surprise after working at it for about 12 years.
You guys had started, in the Newark area, I guess, mid-50s?
Yeah, I was around mid-50s.
As the Four Lovers.
Right.
Was there anything prior to the Four Lovers, or was the Four Lovers the inception of it?
Well, prior to the Four Lovers, it was a lot of pounding the pavement and just about getting enough money together to eat.
Mm-hmm.
But we worked in all the little local clubs in the New Jersey or metropolitan area of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania.
No, that was you and Tommy DeVito
and Bob Guardiola and Nick Massey.
Mm-hmm. At what point did Bob join you? I know he was part of the Royal Teens in there for a bit.
Yeah, Bob came in the tail end of the Four Lovers.
Mm-hmm.
We were both on the road promoting a record. I think we were in Pittsburgh when I met Bob, and we got to talking a little bit. And we had a creative discussion, and we planned a meeting to spend some time together. And Bob told me he'd written a lot of songs, and I listened to everything that he'd written, and we decided that we'd like to have him come with us. And
how did you form an association with Tommy and Nick?
Well, Tommy and Nick I knew most of my life.
Did you?
Yeah, we grew up in the same neighborhood and hung out in the same pool rooms and
singing on the same street corners,
under the same bridges and the same hallways.
You guys made, I don't know, at least a half a dozen records that I can remember as the Four Lovers, or maybe more. And then was it the Frankie Valli and the Romans? There was a record in there.
There was Frankie Valli and the Romans. There was Billy Dixon and the Topics. There was Frankie Tyler. I mean, there were so many names. It was ridiculous. I think at one point or another we had recorded with just about every record company at least one time.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you had a record out called Bermuda, which did a little bit back east and not too much on the west coast.
Right.
And then
that was on Gone Records.
Mm-hmm.
Which is gone.
Which is gone, yes. Say goodnight. Of course, so is a lot of the other labels like Cindy and a lot of the other little fellows that you recorded for from time to time.
I think that the small independent record companies were really innovative people running them when rock and roll had really not even matured yet. It was just born, and I really give all those people a lot of credit, because if it weren't for them, there wouldn't be any rock and roll.
Sure, a lot of originality there too. Yeah. And a good place for you guys to get your feet wet too.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun in those days. And
the success of Sherry, how did it all come about, and what was the feeling all of a sudden after kicking around with these guys who you had grown up with, all of a sudden to have a #1 record in America?
Well, what had happened just before that, I mean, we were in a really rough period, and I was deciding or trying to decide whether I was going to stay in the music business or not.
What was your second choice?
Well, there were a lot of choices that I really didn't want to make, but and from a financial point of view, it was important that I should work and be able to take care of myself. I was a hairdresser for a while. I thought I'd like that a lot until I actually worked in a shop, and I found how much different it was from being in school. So when Sherry did come, I can remember we were in the studio ready to cut it, and my comments were things like, this is the last shot. I'm just not going to continue to do this anymore. If this doesn't happen, I'm going to do something else.
Well, the sound was really, though, different from what you guys had done before. It was a much fuller sound and a much more together sound than the previous records, as either the Four Lovers or...
Right. Well, we used a basic harmony in that, which I think comes from church singing. And you hear a lot of overtones. It makes the sound a lot greater than it actually is. We used to work out all of our vocal parts using a guitar, because we found that the guitar was the closest thing to a human voice of any instrument that you could work with. And if you played a chord on the guitar and gave out parts according to that chord, to humans, it was pretty true. If it sounded good on the guitar, it also sounded good with the human voices, and the piano works totally different.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll give everybody a good example with the third #1 record you guys had in a row coming up in just a moment. It's 12:16. Frankie Valli and Brian Beirne from K-Earth 101. Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, one of my favorite things that you guys did, Candy Girl. What was it like back in the 1960s, doing all the shows and the excitement of it all? Had to be tremendous.
Well, it was a lot of work because there was a lot of production involved in doing those shows. Sometimes we would do shows at the Brooklyn Fox Theater or the New York Paramount, or many of the the famous landmark theaters in the United States, and there'd be 10 or 15 acts on a show, and we'd travel around on the bus doing one-nighters, and everybody cared about each other, and it was a whole lot different then. I just think
it's a lot different than today.
Yeah, radio was a lot different too. You could walk into a radio station and all the people who were on the record companies, all the artists had a camaraderie with the disc jockeys, and they were friends. You could just walk in, and a guy could be doing his show, and you could say hi, and all of a sudden there would be a 5-minute, 10-minute interview, and it would be terrific.
Well, you can always do that here on my show. You're always
terrific.
welcome.
Okay.
You guys fought off, really, I guess, as far as the American groups were concerned, you and the Beach Boys, all the British groups during the British invasion days, which was kind of interesting. You had the surf sounds, and then you had the sound of the Four Seasons.
The New York City sounds.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting period, and I think one of the reasons that the Beach Boys got through it, and we did, was because we didn't try to change anything. We continued to stay who we were. We never lost our identity.
I remember the album The Beatles versus the Four Seasons and all of what they were trying to do with that. Back to 64, great record you guys did entitled Dawn.
Well, Dawn was in a transition period. It was right after we had had all those hits, and we decided that we should start making some things that were just a little bit different, but still keep the sound of the Four Seasons. Mm-hmm. And I think Dawn was the first move of innovation for us from the Sherry period. It was like going to a new plateau, and that was a lot of fun. That song was written by Bob Gaudio and Sandy Linzer. We were really excited about that record. It was our first record with a new record company. We had left VJ.
Mm-hmm. And gone over to...
we went over to Philips, right?
All right.
Today is Polydor or Polygram.
Which is, yeah.
They own the world.
They own the world. Back to 64, here's Dawn from the Four Seasons. With Rag Doll. Good afternoon. Brian Beirne and Frankie Valli. Frankie, over the years, has the Four Seasons as a unit, 5 #1s and 15 top 10, something that certainly very few acts in the world can say that they have had. What is your favorite record that you have done over the years, or is there one?
I don't think I really have a favorite. I think whatever I was doing at that particular time was, while I was enjoying the success with it, it was a favorite. Even the things that we recorded that didn't do as well as I thought they would were favorites. I never went in to cut any records trying to second guess what was going on in the market. I just went in to cut things that I like to do in a way that we like to do it, and it's probably another reason why we've been able to be around this long.
The story goes that the Four Seasons, the name came from a bowling alley that you guys were at one night.
Yeah. Well, we had an audition to work in this place, and we never got the job because the price we were asking was, I guess about $10 or $15 more than the man wanted to pay. So the name of it was the Four Seasons Cocktail Lounge and Bowling Alley. And we just...
What city was this in?
This was in Union, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. So we lifted the name, and the name just had a nice ring to it, and we were 4 guys, and that's the way it went.
You had a great relationship over the years with Bob Crew, Bob Gaudio, and the guys, and everybody songwriting, the arrangers, and trying to change the sound each time.
Yeah, we have kept close touch with all of the people who were creatively involved, and we became good friends. It wasn't any kind of separation between us that okay, you wrote the song, just give me the song and leave. the Sandy Lindsers and the Denny Randalls and the Larry Browns and the Bob Cruz and Gaudio and so forth and so on. Gaudio and I have been partners for 26 years on a handshake.
Wow, it's a long time. Let's go back to 65 for one you did call Let's Hang On.
Yeah, that was written by Sandy Lindsay, Denny Randall, and
They
Bob
were
Cruz.
real hot at the time.
Yes, they were. They had a big hit with a record by the Toys called Lover's Concerto.
Mm-hmm.
And when they played me the song, I immediately just felt that the song was right, and we went and recorded it.
65, 4 seasons.